Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special, landmark episode of our podcast. Today, we are embarking on a true linguistic odyssey. If you have ever wanted to learn a second language but felt overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the journey, or if you are currently stuck somewhere in the middle of your learning process, this episode is meticulously crafted just for you. Today, we are doing something entirely unique. We are going to experience a full linguistic escalation. This episode is structured to mirror the human brain's journey through language acquisition. We will begin our conversation at a foundational, absolute beginner level, A1, using simple structures and clear, accessible vocabulary. As our narrative unfolds, we will seamlessly transition through A2, B1, and B2, steadily increasing the complexity of our grammar, the depth of our rhetoric, and the richness of our vocabulary, until we reach a sophisticated, native-like C1 level by the conclusion. Our dual focus today will be equally fascinating. First, we will explore the profound, multi-dimensional benefits that learning a second language brings to your brain, your career, and your soul. Second, we will look at the exact strategic frameworks you must use when choosing which second language to learn. So, adjust your headphones, take a deep breath, and let's begin our journey at the very beginning. Let us start with a simple question: why do we want to learn a new language? For many people, a new language is like a key. It opens a new door. At the A1 level, everything is new. It is like being a child again. You learn basic words: hello, thank you, please, family, water, food. You learn how to say your name, your age, and where you live. Many people think that this level is too simple. They think it is not important. But that is wrong. The A1 level is the most important part of your house. It is the foundation. If your foundation is strong, your house will stand for a long time. Let us think about the first benefit of learning a language at this basic level. It gives you immediate connection. Imagine you travel to a new country. You do not know the language perfectly. You only know 10 or 20 words. But when you look at a local person and say good morning or thank you in their language, a beautiful thing happens. They smile. They see your effort. They feel respected. In that moment, you are not just a tourist. You are a human trying to connect. This is the first great benefit. It breaks the ice between two human souls. Now, how do we choose our second language at this stage? Many people make a mistake. They choose a language because it looks cool or because their friend is learning it. But at the beginning, you need to ask a simple question: do I like the sound of this language? Yes, it is that simple. If you do not like the music of a language, you will not want to listen to it every day. You must find a language that feels good in your ears and feels good in your mouth when you speak it. At this first stage, keep your goals small. Do not try to read a big book. Try to understand a short song. Celebrate every small word you learn. Every word is a small victory. Now, let's take a step forward into the A2 level. At this stage, you are no longer just surviving with isolated words, you are starting to build real sentences. You can describe your daily routine, talk about your past weekend, and express your future plans. You have more tools in your linguistic toolbox, and because of this, the journey becomes much more interesting. As you move into the A2 level, you start to notice the first physical benefits of language learning on your brain. Science tells us that even at this elementary stage, your brain is starting to change. When you memorize new verbs and try to switch between your native language and your new language, you are performing a mental workout. It is like going to a cognitive gym. Your brain creates new connections, which we call synapses. This process helps improve your memory. People who study a second language, even for just a few months, often find that they become better at remembering daily lists, faces, and small details. But let's talk about a major challenge at this level: choosing the right language based on practical resources. When you are looking for your second language, you must consider the availability of materials. Ask yourself, can I easily find movies, podcasts, books, and language partners for this language? If you choose a language that is incredibly rare, you might struggle to find high-quality resources to help you practice. For an A2 learner, consistency is everything. You need a continuous stream of easy-to-digest content. If you can find a lot of subtitled videos or children's stories in your target language, your progress will be much faster. Therefore, when choosing your language, look at your immediate environment. Do you have neighbors who speak it? Is there a cultural center in your city? True success at this stage depends on making the language a natural part of your everyday environment. We have now crossed a significant threshold and arrived at the B1 level, which is commonly known as the intermediate stage. If you are at this level, you can handle most situations that arise while traveling in an area where the language is spoken. You can explain your dreams, describe your hopes, and provide brief reasons or explanations for your opinions. You are no longer just repeating memorized patterns, you are expressing your actual personality through a completely different medium. At the B1 level, the cognitive and personal benefits of bilingualism truly begin to manifest in remarkable ways. One of the most fascinating benefits is the development of cognitive flexibility. When you reach this level of competence, your brain is constantly working behind the scenes to suppress your native tongue while keeping the new language active. This constant mental juggling act dramatically enhances your executive functioning skills. Studies show that intermediate language learners are significantly better at multitasking and problem-solving than monolingual individuals. Your brain becomes more adept at filtering out irrelevant distractions and focusing on the core task at hand. Furthermore, your perspective on life begins to expand. You start to realize that your native language shapes your worldview in ways you never noticed before. For example, some languages have words for emotions or concepts that simply do not exist in your mother tongue. By learning these words at AB1 level, you are literally gaining new ways to think, feel, and interpret reality. So, how does this affect our criteria for choosing a second language? At the B1 stage, your motivation needs to transition from superficial interest to deep, personal utility. You must evaluate the language through the lens of your lifestyle and long-term vision. Consider your career aspirations, your travel desires, or your heritage. Ask yourself, will this language allow me to access a culture, a market, or a community that I am genuinely passionate about? If you choose a language purely because of economic statistics, but you have zero interest in the culture or the people who speak it, you will likely hit a wall at this exact intermediate stage. To push through the notorious intermediate plateau, you need a burning curiosity about the world that the language unlocks. Your choice must be anchored in a genuine desire to communicate, not just a desire to add a line to your resume. Welcome to the B2 level, the stage of functional fluency. At this point in our podcast journey, the training wheels are completely off. If you are operating at this level, you can understand the main ideas of complex text on both concrete and abstract topics, including technical discussions in your field of specialization. You can interact with a degree of fluency and spontaneity that makes regular interaction with native speakers quite possible without strain for either party. You are no longer translating in your head, or you are thinking directly within the architecture of the second language. When you achieve B2 proficiency, the benefits of language learning transition from internal cognitive upgrades to external, life-altering opportunities. Let's look at the professional landscape. In our hyper-globalized economy, being bilingual at AB2 level is nothing short of a superpower. It makes you an incredibly lucrative asset to any international organization. You become the bridge between different cultural markets. You aren't just communicating words, or you are navigating cultural nuances, negotiating deals, and building trust across borders. This capability exponentially increases your career mobility, giving you the freedom to seek employment opportunities all over the globe. But perhaps the most profound benefit at this stage is psychological. It is the cultivation of a second identity. There is a famous Czech proverb that states, "You live a new life for every new language you speak." If you know only one language, you live only once. At AB2 level, you start to notice that your tone, your sense of humor, and even your body language shift depending on the language you are speaking. It allows you to step outside the confines of your conditioned, native self and explore alternative facets of your personality. It is an unmatched tool for self-discovery. Now, when we consider our framework for choosing a second language from AB2 perspective, we have to look at geopolitical and demographic trends. If you are strategically planning your next linguistic venture, you must analyze where the world is going, not just where it is right now. Look at demographic shifts. Which languages will have the highest number of active speakers in the next 30 years? Look at emerging economic markets. Furthermore, you must evaluate the concept of linguistic proximity. If your native language is English, learning Spanish or French will naturally be a faster process due to shared roots, allowing you to reach this coveted B2 fluency much quicker. However, choosing a structurally distant language like Mandarin, Arabic, or Japanese, while requiring a significantly higher time investment, might offer you a far greater competitive advantage simply because fewer people in your demographic have mastered it. At this level of the game, choosing a language becomes an exercise in strategic forecasting. And now, we have finally ascended to the summit of our linguistic trajectory, the C1 level. At this advanced stage of competence, the language is no longer an external instrument that you utilize, it has become an organic extension of your consciousness. You can read wide-ranging, demanding longer texts with ease, recognizing implicit meanings and subtle ironies. You can express yourself fluently and spontaneously without much obvious searching for expressions. You can use language flexibly and effectively for social, academic, and professional purposes, formulating ideas with precision and relating your contributions skillfully to those of other speakers. Reaching a C1 level in a second language fundamentally rewires your neurological and philosophical relationship with reality. Let us delve into the long-term cognitive dividends of this achievement. Neuroscientific research demonstrates that achieving advanced bilingualism acts as a powerful buffer against cognitive decline. Masterful management of two distinct linguistic systems creates what neuroscientists call a cognitive reserve. In clinical studies, bilingual individuals who develop neurodegenerative conditions, such as Alzheimer's disease, manifest symptoms an average of 4 to 5 years later than their monolingual peers with the exact same level of physical brain pathology. Your brain has simply built so many alternative neural pathways that it can effectively bypass damaged areas to maintain high-level cognitive functioning. Moreover, C1 proficiency completely refines your capacity for critical thinking and objective analysis. When you are capable of consuming literature, political discourse, and philosophical treatises in two different languages, you become inherently immune to localized propaganda and ethnocentric biases. You quickly realize that the global narrative is fractured, and that different cultures frame the exact same historical and contemporary events through entirely different metaphorical lenses. This linguistic vantage point elevates you to the status of a global citizen. It grants you an intellectual sovereignty that is impossible to achieve within the confines of a single tongue. So, when we stand at this advanced peak and look back at the grand architecture of language selection, what is the ultimate guiding principle for choosing your next second language? The answer is an elegant synthesis of utility, strategy, and what I like to call existential alignment. When you select a language destined for mastery, you are not merely choosing a tool for communication, you are choosing the next culture you wish to adopt, the next history you wish to inherit, and the next collective consciousness you wish to integrate into your identity. You must examine the philosophical framework of the culture attached to the language. Does their literature resonate with your soul? Does their societal ethos challenge your current worldview in a constructive manner? Does their mode of expression offer a sanctuary for thoughts that you cannot properly formulate in your mother tongue? To commit to the arduous journey of mastering a language to AC1 level requires an immense investment of your finite time, energy, and cognitive capital. Therefore, the ultimate choice must transcend mere pragmatic opportunism. It must be an act of profound curiosity, a deliberate decision to expand the boundaries of your universe, and a testament to your unyielding desire to understand the beautiful, multifaceted mosaic of the human experience. My dear friends, we have traveled today from the simple, foundational greetings of the A1 level to the hyper-articulated, philosophical depths of C1. Language learning is not a linear sprint, it is an epic, lifelong marathon that transforms every single facet of your biological and psychological existence. Whether you are currently standing at the starting line of a new language, or fighting your way through the intermediate valleys, remember that every single word you learn expands your world. Find your motivation, choose your target language with both strategic acumen and genuine passion, and embrace the beautiful struggle of the journey. Thank you for tuning into this special linguistic journey. Protect your focus, expand your boundaries, and stay curious. Until next time, goodbye for now.